Good morning, fellow INTERPEEPS. I am Scarab, you're watching my channel. I just woke up, so yeah, excuse me for the sleepy eyes and but I just had the coolest dream ever. It was awesome. I was dreaming about a video game, and it was awesome. And if I don't put my thoughts down on recording, it'll be gone forever. So I had this dream where I was contacted by these developers who I knew apparently, and they were game developers. So they started this four-way line. We had to contact the team themselves through the internet and stuff, like through something like Skype or Discord, and then we got in contact, and I managed to get my way to the studio. So I was at the studio. We somehow had Nathan Fillion on the line, and he was going to be our fourth member. So this game that I dreamt up was an online four-player cooperative game based in a weird sci-fi horror universe that started out as kind of like a twin-stick shooter, because it had this massive bird's eye looking down on us, really crisp graphics. So it kind of looked like realistic to life type of models and textures, and the way the soldiers was kind of dressed the way the people were in Resident Evil, the movie, like the live action movie. They were kind of dressed like that, and just the whole black with the machine guns and stuff. So they kind of looked like Umbrella, but yeah, it was essentially fighting off waves of monsters, just zombies and stuff. But they were like running zombies, kind of like in what's that movie? 28 Days Later or something. It was kind of like that, but there was just waves and waves and waves of them, and Nathan Fillion had my back, and I couldn't figure out the control scheme because I was playing it with a controller, but for some reason aim was left stick. Shut up, phone. Hang on, just give me 1 second while I shut this up. That's gonna irritate the fuck out of me and lose my concentration. So for some reason aim was left stick and move was right stick. As we all know, to modern day controls, maybe Nintendo 64 that would be normal, but to modern day controls, nah, not so much. So I got a little bit confused, and I had to go into the options and be like, guys, I can't figure it out. And then they went ahead of me, and then one of the developers was like, God damn it, hurry up, Scarab. I'm like, what? And he's like, I've just been carrying you for ages. So apparently in the game, you can carry your teammates that are not doing anything. So he like had to carry me, and there was just this horde incoming behind us, and then the other team members are just shooting, and you just see like enemies falling and just like toppling over each other, kind of like in World War Z. They just like keep coming no matter what. And then we finally made it to this point where a door slams closed, and it's like this big sci-fi door, like a big slanty sci-fi door, and then it just like closes, and then we had to like move aboard this ship, but the ship hasn't taken off. It was just sort of idle. It's like the midway point, kind of like a giant airlock, but a really giant airlock, and it had booby traps everywhere. And at this point, we just passed like this massive mountainous sort of area, and we went from a bird's eye view to a more traditional third person view, kind of like Metal Gear, the way that Metal Gear is represented, and yeah, that sort of third person. So we just got away from the monster horde or zombie horde or whatever, and then we had to go aboard this ship. And on this ship, the first thing we see is this evil death fucking mask. And the mask represents, like, I think it was a sequel to a game or something, but it represents this agony, this fear of like a final boss that was in the previous games. And it was just this mask that would sort of take on the entity of whatever it was. I have no idea what it meant. All I know is that I was terrified of it. But this mask used to be like the final boss battle in all of the other games and stuff, and it was like the big climax, the big thing where you go, okay, so this is going to be hard. So we found like an old, decrepit, defeated mask, but at the same time, it wasn't completely worn down. It was prominent, and we're like, okay, we don't like that. As the people, not as the characters, as the people. We're like, oh, I don't like that. But eventually we became the characters. It was really weird because it was a dream. I mean, come on. So we walked past these hollow hallways and everything, and then we all sort of spanned out, and then it turned into like a movie type thing. It felt like it was becoming more of a movie more than a game. But then it turns back into a game. It was weird. So we're going down this hallway. Maybe it could have been a cutscene or something. But we were still playing, so it doesn't make any sense. Went down this really narrow-ish. I mean, it's enough to fit like maybe 4 people across. If they were like overlapping a little bit. And so if you had people like that. And then in the hallway, there was some sort of trap, and we had to run. And there was this weird monster that no one really saw, or at least I didn't see because I was busy exploring a different area. But then I made it to the hallway and went, holy shit, what the fuck is going on? They're like, guys, did you activate the trap? No? What are you talking about? Do you guys have tongues? I'm like, what? And then there was like a button to make your character stick his tongue out, and some people had just like this red thing that comes out of their mouth, and they're like, It was like, wow, the devs even included something as gross as that. It's like, I think I've been injured. So a couple of us had been hurt by whatever monster it was, which I didn't see, and then we had to just like skedaddle, and then we saw the monster, or I saw the monster, and it had like blades coming out of it, but it was like more like spikes coming out of it, and it was just this really weird, demented creature that was kind of like a mix between maybe a Resident Evil creature and something from Silent Hill. It was terrifying. It was a big monster with like no real face or anything. It was just alive somehow, and it was wearing clothes. It was kind of wearing like what's the word? Kind of like mechanic overalls, but leathery. It was like a mix between. It was a mix between Nemesis and Leatherface. So yeah, it was kind of like a mix between Nemesis and Leatherface. Except it had spikes coming out of it randomly and stuff. And its arms were severed, and it was blood everywhere, but it wasn't dripping, it was just dried blood, and it was like coming after us very slowly. But there's some traps in the hallway, and some of the spikes came in on themselves, and then it's like, who activated the trap? And I think that's when people got injured, because they got pinned up against the wall by these giant claw sort of things. So we had to wait for that to part while the monster's approaching, and then we had to fucking bolt it. So we bolted it, and we made it to outside, to back outside, because this is part of a weird compressed hallway airlock sort of thing. So the zombies were here, the airlock was here, and then we had to move on to this area, and this area gave us a view of the top of the ship. Like a spaceship sort of thing. But when we got there, we realized that there was no... it was just a giant minefield, basically. What would happen... It was kind of like it was something out of anime. Now we're starting to live as the characters, and it felt like we were in this sort of like anime manga or something. Because like all of a sudden it was all trapped, and we had to find a way around it, or through it at least. When we saw the top of the ship, it was large, it was black, it was sleek, it was very sci-fi. And there was like, it wasn't like a giant fucking alien spaceship, circular thing. It was more like a Battlestar Galactica sort of thing. it was kind of like a giant jet design sort of deal. Like, it's just sleek, but it had all these plates similar to, I would say, similar to solar paneling. It was kind of like that, except a little bit more jet black. And so, yeah, these turrets would just turn up. So they'd spring out the ground. They'd be like, boop, and then start firing machine gun spray at the, like, on an angle from all sides, just, and then they would close again. Then it'd open up and then they'd close again. So it'd just keep doing that. And so we had to find the right timing to, when it's done the thing, go over to it, onto the turret, which would then deactivate it. And then we had to move to the next one, and move to the next one, and move to the next one, until we reached the center of the ship, and then everything powered down. It was really strange. Like, we had these packs on or something that would help us navigate area and stuff, but everything just stopped. Everything powered down, just went boom. And we were like, do we break the game? And then, like, doors opened, our packs flew off and just left. They just disappeared. Like, oh, they didn't disappear. They flew off to do a thing. And we were under the interpretation that the game broke, and that's not meant to happen. And then all of a sudden the ship starts powering up. We're like, fuck! Hold on for dear life! And then we to fucking run all the way to this entrance part, because everything shut down. It was like an EMP went off before the ship started taking off, and as soon as it did, we're just like, fucking bolt! So we managed to get into the spaceship somehow, and then it turns back into this weird game where it's like it's still 4 players, but you're like tethered to another player. Though you weren't tethered, you had these items around your belt that was kind of like an elastic rope that you could use, but it was wide. It's kind of like a bandage in a way. It was weird, but I had these like little notches in it, so then it was like a tactical rope sort of deal. And me and Nathan Fillion teamed up, and we tried to get through a bunch of puzzles. And there was a few obstacles that we had to get through, and in order to get through them, we decided to bond up and try to tackle it together. So he would go and grab onto, because there was like this little obstacle course, kind of like a rock climbing sort of deal thing. But we couldn't just like climb down it. We'd have to swing each other to do things. So he would grab onto like this node or whatever, and then attach the thing from his belt and wrap it around, get that attached. Then he would swing down and hold his hand out, and then I would grab his hand, and then he would swing me, and then I'd grab a thing and attach my thing, then he'd disattach his, and then, you know, we'd continue through trying to get to the bottom. And then there was more, some more obstacles and stuff up ahead before we managed to get anywhere. But then I woke up. Oh, why did I have to wake up? I wanted to know what happened next. I wanted to beat the game. I've only slept for like 3 or 4 hours, so like I wanted to get back to sleep to witness more, but I just couldn't. I couldn't. God damn it. So I just woke up. I'm going to do some recording today, but that was my dream. It took me 14 minutes to tell you what my dream was about. Wow. I hope some of that made sense. It probably didn't, but it was really, really intimidating. Especially that giant monster in the hallway. I was like, I sort of rushed through that, but it was like a very slow sort of thing, and it was terrifying. Like, it's sort of like that part of the dream slowed down to like real time, and it was really scary. Yeah, I had no idea what was going on with it, but we were always reminded of that mask from the boss of the previous games. It was just creepy. It was like a diamond-shaped mask, but it had bits of it like eroded around. It was kind of like a skull mask mixed with a geometric mask. And it was very strange. It had certain points on it and stuff, but it was obviously just a cover for something. I mean, it was obviously a mask, a cover for a face. But what I mean is, like, it was just like this strange diamond shape, but it had... it's hard to describe. But yeah, it had definitely seen battle. But, yeah, it was so fucking weird. It went from a top-down twin-stick shooter with the controls bonkered, and then it went to a third-person action-adventure, to a first-person get me the hell out of here, kind of back to a third-person perspective when the ship started taking off, and then we had to bolt and leg it, and then yeah, back definitely a third person when we were doing the obstacle course, because you could kind of see from a third person perspective, like swinging around and helping each other and stuff. But it was good. It was like a 4-player sci-fi shooter cross puzzle cross survival horror, I guess. I don't know. It was weird. But that was my dream, and I felt like I needed to share it with you guys. So there you go. As a little look inside my mind. Goodbye!